Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh, everybody. I'm Preacher Mars, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. Hope that you're having a wonderful Wednesday. Today is a women's subject today. Today's topic, brothers and sisters, so you are not confused, is why should we seriously apologize to mothers? Again, that title is Why Should We Seriously Apologize to Mothers? Now, let me preface this by saying that this was inspired, okay? This was inspired of something I saw from a TED Talk from a young woman, um, Sister Tubbs. Malika Tubbs is her name. And she's a young, bright student, graduate of Stanford University. She's a PhD from University of Cambridge. And she's written this book called Three Mothers. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole crust of it because I want to leave that for our discussion after the break. But I think the thing that she really framed for me was this whole paradigm shift that we have done for mothers, particularly black mothers, in the context of how they're viewed and how their essence and presence is viewed in terms of motherhood as opposed to overall success and quality of life for their children. One of the things that she said, and it really brought something to mind here, and she didn't really speak about gender and things like that. But what we talked about yesterday, where I talked about my mom always getting me frustrated with the three words, show your work. It's interesting because with the scope of mothers going back, and let me classify. I want to delineate this. I'm not talking about mothers today. I'm talking about mothers going back. And as the further and further you go back, brothers and sisters, particularly for African American mothers, it becomes harder and harder and harder and harder to be a mother. It becomes harder and harder and harder and harder to hold your family together. That being said, it's interesting that the valuation of mothers overall has been something that we began to overlook. We begin now to see behavior, attitudes towards motherhood that's almost in the 1920s, in the 1800s. And the reason I'm saying that, brothers and sisters, is because we've let people, if you will, personify the idea of motherhood in terms of something that this is what you're supposed to do. This is something that you're resolved to do. You know, before the pandemic, you used to have a term of career women who wanted to have children. They would say, well, she wanted to start a family. You know what I started thinking about, brothers and sisters? You never heard a career man referred to as he wanted to start a family. You ever notice that? They'll go, hey, Clint, the mechanical engineer, he quit because he wanted to start a family. And it's endemic of women. It's endemic of women here in the United States and around the world. Let me just not say the United States, but around the world in the aspect that motherhood has somehow been greatly reduced. Now, I'm going to talk about certain aspects of motherhood. There's motherhood, there's single motherhood, there's grandparents that raise babies. That you have this whole dichotomy that's tied to, I like to say, female essence. But I'm going to go further. I'm going to say it's the power of womanhood altogether. That motherhood in and of itself is a sharing. It is an announcement of life beyond myself. Now, hold that thought, brothers and sisters. Hold that thought. And the reason I'm saying I'm going to hold that thought is because overall, as you begin to look around the environment here today, there's been a quiet devaluation of not just women, but motherhood. A quiet devaluation not of just women, but motherhood. The process of motherhood. The narrative of motherhood. The value of motherhood, and more importantly, the narrative, how we get from point A to point B. I'm happy to say I know the narrative of how I was brought into the world with my mom and my Aunt May and things like that. I can remember when my cousin was born, my younger cousins. I remember that. And the beautiful part about it is, it ties into something because it's so much more than what you see in front of your face. This is the evolution. This is the perennial example of the unseen. I had to throw that in there. But it is the unseen. It's the unseen into the seen. We believe that a baby is there. We believe that a life is there. And it takes us over to the fact that spiritually we aren't invested before a child comes in the world. You would think, brothers and sisters, that this will be a cause of celebration, a cause of great parades and holidays. But no, we still find ourselves in 2022 with poor examples of maternity leave that somehow the mother is punished for her choice. Hear me now. Punished for her choice to bring life into the world. Now, on this, I'm going to tell you guys, just in case you know, I'm not a mom. Some people say I'm a mother, but I'm not a mom. I can't explain to you people the emotions of bringing children into the world. I can't do that. But as a man, good looking black man, I had to throw that in there. But as a man, I thought it was important to step back and speak on some of the things that have been troubling me for years on the aspects of mothers, particularly black moms. But I'll try and keep it general for everybody. Some of the things that I had to go through as a child, and I'm going to share them. And I hope you guys don't mind. You know, some of them are personal experiences, but some of them are personal observances because when you're really, really young, you look at your mom a certain way. When you get older, you look at your mom a certain way. So, for that, brothers and sisters, I'm going to ask in advance for your patience, okay? Listen, I've run a little bit over again on our opening monologue. Please forgive me. We're going to go ahead and get the show started. Satana, could you hit me at your ready and willing? Thank you. All right, we're back, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Our topic today is why should we apologize to mothers? And I mean the whole aspect of motherhood. And even you need to probably possibly apologize to your mom. That's not my business. Before we get into that, of course, I got stars in the building. I got to bring them on the platform real quick. Forgive me, but these are the people that make this show what it is. Let's get them up. First on the show, we got Sister Ree. How you doing, Sister Ree? Assalamu alaikum. Nice to see you on the show. Ree, we appreciate you. You know, Ree is a mom, so I think you guys need to know that. Ree, we appreciate you. Shout out to you, Derek and Juwan. Thank you so much for participating. Next up, got Johnny L. Thomas. What's going on, brother? Little brother, as I say. Good to see you, JT. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Appreciate you and hope you like the program. Next up. We got Sonia Salahuddin Dalton. How you doing, sister? We appreciate you being back on the show. I think my energy is up, but I got some apologizing to do, Sister Sonia. So give me a minute. Hopefully I don't get missy, but I got a little apologizing to do for you. All right. Appreciate you for coming on the show. My platform always has space for Salahuddin. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Next up. All Talk for Sheep. My main man, Mr. 6 o'clock, our Canadian ambassador to the show. Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down. We appreciate you, brother. Make sure the quality of the show is good on this side of the border and the Canadian side of the border. Tune in, brother. We appreciate you. As always, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Next up. And we got Bilal Salahuddin in the building. How you doing, beloved? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for making the show and appreciate your presence, as always. What is a shout-out show without Salahuddins? It's a shout-out show without the Salahuddins. That's right. We need everybody. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Next up. We got my mom on the show. Mama son, she said, yeah, you're going to apologize to me, Negro, on this show. Yeah, I do have to apologize. There's a lot of things I always want to say to my mom I haven't been able to say. But, you know, sometimes things drive you and they give you clarity. So this... Sister Tubbs, if you will, drove home some points, and I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna say some things about this sister, momentarily. Who else do we have, Sister Satana? We got Sister Satana. There you go, our consultant producer, making sure that everything works on the ones and twos. I really like this picture. You know, this is sort of like endemic of kids, particularly boys, always jumping on their mom like they people, like they grown men, and mamas always put up with it. I appreciate that. That was, I chose that picture. I hope you guys like it. So let's get to it, Santana. Let's get to it. Shout out show family. I'm gonna flash back a couple years ago. Let me cut this off. I'm sorry, brothers and sisters. I'm I'm going to flashback a couple years ago. I lived in a neighborhood. My brother Rick lived on Lundy Street, or Lundy Avenue, I can't remember. But it was Lundy. We used to always call it Lundy. And we had Chris, Randolph, we had Rick, and we had two guys, the Allen, Spencer Allen and Leroy Allen. And the thing that distinguished the Allen brothers away from us was the fact that the Allen brothers' mom was a single mom. They were possibly the first single mom in the neighborhood. And we used to talk around it as kids, like what happened, why they're single mom, where's your dad? And you would say these things as children, but, you know, it was not to disrespect them. And I remember one time we were playing a poker game. I don't know. And when you do poker games, you Joan, you Rib, you do the dozens, and everybody was doing a dozen. And Chris Randolph, who's an attorney now, good dude. Chris Randolph said something to Pokey. That was Spencer's nickname, Pokey. Chris said something to Pokey in terms of a dozen, doing a dozens, ribbon and Jonah, and it just struck me the wrong way. This is what he said. You know, we were going back and forth, and got on families, your mama joke, and he said, "Oh, you got an instant family." He said, "Just open the box, just add daddy." And now I'm a comedian, and I laugh at a lot of things, but that hurt. That hurt because Miss Allen was raising the boys. She was sending them to private school. Pokey graduated school. Leroy graduated school for Hofstra University. I mean, these are really educated guys. But it brought into the fact that somehow, someplace, that there was a spot, seemingly an opening for Chris to make this comment. Now, you know, I had my parents around the corner. Chris had his mom and dad. You know, we had all these situations. But what bothered me was we laughed uncomfortably, and then we didn't laugh at all, because we realized that this woman had moved into this neighborhood from wherever they were and bought a house and purchased a house, and she had the wherewithal to put her kids in private school and value their education. And somehow, someplace, in this one little thing that Chris Randolph said, somehow, someplace, all of that credibility was destroyed because there wasn't a father who was present. There wasn't a father who was present. When I said there was a father there to throw the ball to the kids or come pick them up on a week, there was no father there. And somehow, not having a father there ruined this woman's credibility. All the wonderful things that she had done were out of the window because there wasn't the presence of a man. We're not talking about it. He was a good man, a smart man, working man, on dope, heroin, whatever. Chris, the fact of the matter, there wasn't a male presence, and somehow it allowed not just Chris to make that joke, but society in a lot of ways to kick this woman down. She was a queen, but you can kick this woman down because that thing is not there. That the man wasn't there, somehow they were open. She was open to all these questions. Now let me talk about Sister Tubbs. Sister Tubbs, she has a book out. It's called Three Mothers. And the premise of the book is she looks at the three mothers of three iconic black heroes in our community. Alberta King, the mother of Dr. Martin Luther King. Louise Little, the mother of Malcolm X, Malcolm Little. And Burtis Davis Jones, who is the mother of... Burtis Davis Baldwin, who's the mother of James Baldwin. And she creates this narrative, brothers and sisters, of how these great women have produced these great men, but we don't know about their narratives. That somehow they were just dropped to this earth to drop these iconic people, and they had nothing going on, no kind of life before them, like they weren't people of purpose. And I thought about it, and I said, this is amazing because that's how we're going to see. She started out her TED Talk. It was a TED Talk talking about how January 15th, we're all going to celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King. Yay! But we know nothing about her mother. Nothing about his mother. That his mother was a person who joined civil rights organizations, protests, things like that. Took a leading role in the church, which is major back then. Took a leading role in the church, not just supported her husband, but had social programs within the church for the poor and women and things like that. But we don't know. And I can be honest with you, I thought she was a great lady, but I'm going to be honest with you, when I started thinking about Miss Alberta King, you know what I thought about? The man who walked in and shot her as she played piano on Sunday. That's how her life ended. Now I'm going to play a little blurb about Miss Little, if you will, and I want you to get a feel for the struggle that these women had. There, and I'm going to say after we come back something else that really resounded with me, and maybe it resounded with you, especially those men in the audience today. Maybe this and this is some of the reason maybe we need to reassess and apologize to mothers, because as men we've done a lot of things, knowingly, unknowingly. But there's one thing that I have to speak on, and we're going to come to it right after. Satana, can we go ahead and cue this video up, please?
Church organ. The second story begins in Ladigue, Granada, at the very end of the 19th century. A little girl is influenced by her grandparents to always stand for Black pride and Black independence by any means necessary. At the young age of 17, she travels to Montreal, Canada on her own to spread the message of Black liberation, and she joins the Marcus Garvey Pan-African movement. This is just a brief introduction to Louise Langdon Little, a multilingual scholar and activist who also brought 8 children into the world, one of whom was named Malcolm Little originally. He later became known to the world as Malcolm X. When Louise's husband was murdered, and she was widowed when she was only in her 30s, white welfare workers started showing up and entering her home, questioning the way that she was raising her children. A white male physician was sent to evaluate her, and he concluded that she was experiencing dementia, citing that she was, quote, imagining being discriminated against. As a result, she was institutionalized against her will for around 25 years. Each of her children were taken from her, and they were placed into separate foster homes. The final story starts in the small town of Deal Island, Maryland in 1902. A little girl's life begins in tragedy when she loses her own mother. But through this moment of darkness, she becomes somebody fixated on light and on love. A talented writer, she uses her prose to inspire those around her to let go of their own pain and their hatred. As a teenager, she travels to New York in search of a new start, and she arrives in the middle of the Harlem Renaissance. This is just a brief introduction to Burtis Jones Baldwin, a mother of 9. Her firstborn was originally named James Arthur Jones. He later became known to the world as James Baldwin. At times, Burtis had no other choice but to leave her children at home to make money as a domestic worker. She was also the victim of an abusive husband for years. Without resources other than police officers, who were better known for harassing her community, she endured the pain on her own. When her husband passed, and she too was only in her 30s, she proudly raised her 9 children as a single mother.
So you begin to see a little bit of a theme that these women, just these 3 example women, three examples of mothers, if you will, are literally superheroes. Literally superheroes. And when I say superheroes, that at the time they're doing the things that they're doing, there's no premise. Sister Tubbs talked about Miss King, Miss Alberta King, who was a teacher, but she wasn't allowed to be a teacher because back then you couldn't be, married and be a teacher. Yet she made sure that she raised all the children. They had excellent educations. But I asked the question, what happens? Years ago, I was over in Austin, Texas, doing a little bit of an intervention with a young man who had kind of lost his way. I'll be honest, young Muslim man, Algerian. We'll just call him B for right now. B had basically failed out of school and had convinced everybody that he had graduated, that his diploma was on the way. His mother called me up and she said, well, this is the situation. He won't talk to me, but maybe we can all have a conversation. And I said, okay, ma'am, I will give it a shot. Brothers and sisters, this meeting was a bit surreal because I looked at B and I looked at his mother and we started talking about the facts, if you will, about what was going on and the fact that I knew he hadn't graduated. The guidance counselor let me know there was no diploma in the mail. And I looked at B and I said, your mother's told me all these things. These are the facts. Your mother's told me all these things. And he looked at his mother and he said, F you, B. Now, let me give you the look I had on my face. Like, maybe that was the TV on or a rap song on the radio. And I looked at her and she was crying. I looked at him. I said, why is he crying? He said, yeah, F you, B. And I said to myself, I don't want to kill this boy, but we can't let that ride. And so I snatched him up and I put him in a hold like we used to do, and especially I put him in a hold that makes you speak the truth. And I made him apologize to his mother. Not my finest moment. But I thought back to that moment. I said, because a lot of us men have been in that space. You see this young man right here? This is how we grow up loving our moms. And then we get older. And then people put us in these gender spaces. And I realized something that happens a little bit. That as you get older as a man and your mother is there and we love our moms, but society tells us, don't let women tell you anything. Society says a woman can't be over you. My mother is on right now, and I'm going to apologize to this. Years ago, my mother and I were out. I needed glasses. And the money was tight. My parents worked for the government, and they have these government shutdowns. Money was tight, but your boy needs glasses. I mean, I was bumping into stuff. My eyesight was gone. I needed either glasses or a dog and a cane. You know what I'm talking about. And I told my mom I wanted these glasses, and we went to, I think it was Pearl Vision Center. Mom, was it Pearl Vision Center? I think it was Pearl Vision Center, because Pearl was a joint back then, because you can get your glasses back in the day. Let me stay on topic. I got these glasses from Pearl Vision Center. I got them tinted. Boy, your boy was looking good. I was looking, I couldn't wait to get to class. And got home, and my mother asked me several times to clean up the trash area in the kitchen. And I heard her. I didn't do it the first time. The second time, I didn't do it. And I got a little huffiness in my chest. I'm talking to my dad, who's a guy, by the way. And I look at my dad and she acting all bossy and stuff like that. My dad looked at me like, Negro, I am not in this conversation. I said, she bossing people around. Who she thinks she is? And I turned around and my mom was right there listening. And if I could show you the hurt on her face, this is the woman who said, hey, Lee, things are tight, but we're going to find this money. Get you some glasses so you can see and stop bumping into stuff. Her only request was that I take the trash out. And somehow I had bucked up thinking, I don't need a woman telling me what to do. I'm a grown man. I ain't no grown man. I'm a boy with bad eyesight who's bumping into stuff. And if you put me out on the street, I'd just be homeless at that age. I digress. But the look at my mother's face was like, oh, is that the way you feel? My dad did the old black man look off like this. My mother was standing there, and I felt so bad, brothers and sisters. I walked up to her, and she turned away. She didn't want to cry. She turned away, but she was hurt. She didn't want to cry. She didn't want to make it a deal. But I heard my mom. And I felt so bad that I took the glasses off my face and put them down beside her because I was not worthy of her effort. And what I realized sometimes, us young men, particularly young men, is society rushes us. They make us decide whether that's our mother or that's a woman. Think about that. Is that our mother or is that a woman? And as we grow older, we have these things, these dual ideas about, yeah, you're my mom, but you don't tell me what to do. Yeah, she's not telling you what to do. She's advising you. She's giving you things to think about. But I thought about that process and how it's hyper exaggerated, hyper masculine, hyper masculinity and all those things. As my dear departed sister Bell Hook would say, that we all of a sudden as young men look at our mothers as women, and we do not have the same value for them being women as being mothers. And so I take you back to that poker game. The thing that bothered me about Chris saying that Pokey had an instant family, just add dad, instant family, just add dad. It hurt me because, yes, we looked at this woman as not a woman. We found some way to devalue it. And let me throw this in here, brothers and sisters. This is the reason, we need to apologize to mothers. The reason we need to apologize to mothers is because we still do it today. Through our politics, through our cultural referencing, through our art, we don't celebrate mothers. Or if we do, we celebrate mothers with a question mark. Songs about baby daddies and baby mommies don't really personify what it is to be a mom, to go through that process. The idea that a young girl may have a child out of wedlock when she's 13, 14, 15, 16 years old does not mean that she cannot turn into or evolve into an effective mother. You just heard Sister Tubbs talking about James Baldwin's mother had 9 children before she was 30. By the time she was in her 30s, she had 9 children. And same thing with Malcolm X's mom, 8 children. When her husband, widow. And think about this, brothers and sisters. Think about this. We celebrate, or we create a condition or a priority and respect for the mother who loses her husband and still raises the children. But we don't do the same for the mother who has a man who doesn't want to be a father or it doesn't work out and somehow she's left to raise. What is the difference? What is the difference? Because if we can't figure out the difference, it's always going to be symbolically this kid B telling his mom, F you. Not just the motherhood, but the womanhood in general. The two go together. And so for everyone who's talking about gender and everyone's talking about this is a this is a period we're dealing with right now, brothers and sisters, where I go, damn, where are the moms? Where are the moms? Because I'm going to tell you, the end of society, the crumbling of society, brothers and sisters, is when the mom says, I don't want nothing to deal with y'all. I want nothing to do with you. That's the end of society, brothers and sisters. When the moms say, I don't value you. Got some comments, go ahead and throw them up. Want to make sure I give a salam to my brother Eric. What's going on, man? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for coming on the show. And like I said, I wanted to apologize to the moms for, the politics, not having good maternity leave, not having, universal health care, not being able to have free education for kids that can't afford it. I'm talking about private school. I'm talking about universities. I'm talking about not even having appropriate prenatal care. I want to apologize to the moms for all the times we had these conversations of, oh, I ain't going to marry her. She got 3, 4 kids. I want to be in those conversations, brothers and sisters. I want to apologize for that. Because it just bears out the fact that we're ignorant about what it takes to be a mom. And what it takes to be a mom is you have to be specially chosen. You have to be specially chosen. That's the way I feel. To give life, to give birth, you have to be specially chosen. You know, there's a lot of statistics about how many women want to have children, can't have children, or have miscarriages and things of that nature. They want to be moms. So now you have people specially chosen, and we decide in this society, white patriarchal society, we decide that somehow that woman needs to be devalued, that she is a mother and nothing else. She is supposed to be selflessly devoted to the family. She can't have a career. She can't think. Brothers and sisters, we got to change that around. You know, the dilemma for the black man is that the black man gets beat up so much by this white society that he comes home and he wants to be the aggressor. He looks at the black woman and he devalues her because he can't see her as the woman fully and the motherhood fully. And I want to say that fully, 100% this way and 100% this way. It is the only equation where you could take 100% here, 100% here, and get 100%. Only time. All right. So I'm going to let go. Did we have any comments, Sister Satana? What we got here? What's going on, Abdul Aziz? Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Like I said, I want to give a shout out to all the moms. Let's see. I want them to him up for talking to his mom like that. Oh, I did him up. And like I said, I'm not proud of it, Sister Tana. You know, I'm not a violent guy. I think I was just hurt. You know what I mean? I think I was just hurt. And sometimes there's certain types of hurt you can do that. I'm not good with moms that are hurt. Like I'm not good at kids that cuss their moms out. Like I'll be honest with you. I have friends who were dear friends, but I saw how they treat their moms, and we weren't friends anymore. Can I say that, Sister Latana? I didn't like the way you treated your mom. That was a conversation we had before I stopped dealing with them. I don't like the way you treat your mom. Now I'm not gonna get into the dynamics of marriage and stuff like that, but I'm like, for that part, you know, you gotta show some deference. All right, let's say, why are the dads not just as much? Dads are important. I didn't say they weren't important. I did not say the dads weren't important. Dads are very important. But I'm talking about this framehood of motherhood. And I'm talking about in terms of a historical nature. Dads could be dads, but mothers throughout the time, they've gone through things where they weren't seen as people. They weren't seen as equal. They were oppressed, you know, in addition to having these families. Can you imagine being a woman being oppressed in front of your children? This is the thing. You know, fathers haven't gone through that. So dads are important, but for this one, I say I'm going to apologize to the mothers. All right. We got one more here. Salim Abdul Martin. What's going on, Salim? I'm sorry, I got to reach over. The prophet says that paradise lies at the foot of the mother. We have allowed the feet of the mother to become hell. Wow. My apologies to mom and those who are raised at her feet. Yeah, I'm apologizing all the time, brothers and sisters. Because motherhood makes you humble. Like motherhood makes you humble. Every guy that has children will tell you, yes, I'm the dad, but what went on for the child to come to this world, I couldn't have done that. I wasn't chosen. You know, this is a divine, if you will, a divine plan. While I'm in the plan, but this delivery part is something that I don't know about. You know, that part of creation of the unseen, I don't know about. So, yes, indeed. So, like I said, the person that said, well, dads are important too, but again, this is why we need to apologize to mothers. And so you bought the rain today. Yeah, my mom, you know, I told my mom, I apologize. See, certain things you remember as a kid, yeah, I did. My mom did work hard, My dad worked hard, and they put their money together to give me some glasses. I was back talking to my mom, and it just hurt. And I knew I knew it hurt her because she didn't hit me like that. No, I'm just kidding. She didn't hit me because the glasses were new. But yeah. And you grow up and you remember these things. You remember these things because at that age, I don't know what a woman goes through. You dig what I'm saying? I don't know what a woman goes through. You know, I'm presupposing things because I'm growing into a little man. I'm not even a teenager. I'm growing into a little man, and I'm saying things like that. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. All right. So we want to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you guys for joining us here on the Shout Out Show. Want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Satana, let's go ahead and get it rolling. Want to give a shout out to BeFinancialIndependent.com. Again, that's www.BeFinancialIndependent.com. You can call 202-508-3780. Again, that's 202-508-3780. Now, if you're thinking about getting a quality Islamic graduate level education, look no further than Bayan Islamic Graduate School. Again, that's Bayan Islamic Graduate School, brothers and sisters, with programs in Islamic leadership, Islamic studies, Islamic education, and a world-renowned program, Masters of Divinity, and with a focus in Muslim chaplaincy. You want to make sure you check them out. Go to bayanonline.org. Again, that's bayanonline.org. Want to give a shout-out to my main man, Ijaz Saeed, lifesaver, who's working hard in the city of Houston. 3 locations with convenient urgent care, 1 in Cypress, 1 in Pasadena, and 1 on Parker Road. That brother's out there. And if anybody's looking for work, they have run out of workers. They need people to put some of those tests out there in the street and save some of these people. So make sure you check them out. Go to convenienturgent.com. Again, that's convenienturgent.com. Shout out to them doing great work in the community. And last but not least, we're getting to the point, brothers. This is Make Dua for Me. A very big meeting tomorrow with Us Up TV to try to put in effect a very, very powerful plan, a very powerful partnership. I want you to make dua for me because I hope Friday, not that Thursday, but next Monday, I'll have a big announcement for us and we can party and celebrate a little bit. But please, the new kids on the block in terms of Muslim streaming services, ushub.tv. Again, that's ushub.tv. Make sure you check them out. They are streaming. They're the only ones streaming the original Love Supreme Anatomy of Gratitude, Preacher Moss's opus of a comedy special. Make sure you check that out, brothers and sisters. I know you got some Muslims on Netflix and Hulu, but I'm from the dirt. I'll tell you right now, I'm the greatest Muslim community. I'm the greatest Muslim community this community has produced ever. Ask me why, I'll tell you why, but I'm the best one. You know why? Because community came first. My idea in terms of Muslim comedy is that we raise each other up. That water raises all our boats. No sellout, no sit down. This is what it is. If I can't get it from my people, we just can't get it. So make sure you check out USHub TV, Love Supreme Anatomy of Gratitude. I appreciate you, brothers and sisters. I'm going to get out of here. God bless. Hope to see you soon. Assalamu alaikum. Oh, and before I forget, special duas need to go out to Imam Fatin Saifullah in Las Vegas, who lost his wife to COVID. Now, I know talk about people and getting the shifa, that's important, but he really needs your duas. I talked to him. He's surviving. He sends salams, but brothers and sisters, these things happen. And make sure, while we're talking about Omicron, and this is the lighter version, it's not as severe, I just want everybody to know, Delta is still out there killing people. Don't sleep. I'm Preacher Moss. This is the Shout Out Show. Hope to see you on tomorrow, on Thursday, and we'll have a good time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Apologies to all the mothers. Muslim women are oppressed. That's not true. That's a lie. I married a Muslim woman.
I'm oppressed. It's hard to be a Muslim comedian because you can be anything else in this community, can't you? Allah made me a doctor. Alhamdulillah. Allah made me a lawyer. MashaAllah. Allah made me funny. Astaghfirullah.